I've gotten a plethora of emails recently for people interested in 300 Adenauers. I don't really know why these cars have sort of bubbled back up to market presence, but RM Auctions is really pushing them. You're seeing a lot of European restoration shops starting to complete Adenauer projects, and you're starting to see them being featured prominently at auctions in Germany and the UK. So the question I always get is, what is the real cost of ownership? Well, 300 Adenauers fall into three categories. There are A, B, and C versions. There's the 300D, and then there's the four-door convertible. Four-door convertibles are incredibly rare. Production was less than 800 for all A, B, C, and D types. And the D itself, only 65 four-door convertibles were made, give or take. The 300D sedan, made from 58 to 63, was produced. It was mostly produced for the European market, but there were U.S. deliveries of those cars. Behind me is a U.S. delivery car. Less than 4,000 of those were made. And then as far as A's, B's, and C's go, which were always carbureted, came on the shorter wheelbase platform, and almost never had air conditioning. I have heard of a C or two with Arctic car air conditioning, but it's rare. Those cars were generally, I think they made about 12,000 of those combined, and you can go out and buy one today with, you know, with $30,000 or $40,000. But a nice D sedan, which is what we're going to focus on in this video because it's the most usable of all of them, is going to set you back somewhere between $45,000 and $90,000 for a good car. But this is something magnificent because you almost never see the 300 Adenauer on film, much less being worked on, much less a part of it that is such a difficult part to deal with. So we're going to continue pulling this lower control arm out, and this is a tool, by the way, that we fabricated from two tools. This is the 46 millimeter socket and ratchet that is necessary to...
All right, I'm on it. You are? Okay. Okay.
Did you get that, Thomas?
Yep.
All right, let's get those tools out of the way.
Alley-oop!
All right, we're almost there.
There we go.
All right.
If you're wondering why we went through all this pain and suffering to begin with, it's to get these out. This thing was starting to get a little deteriorated at the bottom.
Almost. Hold on.
God, where else are you going to see this besides Pierre Hedary's? So the real question is, how much does it cost to own one of these cars? Well, you can go out and buy a pretty nice Adenauer for $50,000. And then there are going to be some other things you'll have to do, such as you'll have to drop the rear axle and probably replace the rear axle boot on a D, which is going to be about a $7,000 to $8,000 job, or more if internal parts are worn out. You may also have to do some woodwork to keep the car nice, so you're going to spend $3,000 or $4,000 there. You'll probably have to do work on the brakes, and while the front suspension is pretty hardy, you should know that if you want to buy a tie rod in for these cars, just a tie rod in, the cheapest parts are going to be $175, give or take. The fuel injection system, while it is pretty good. If you want it to work right, you're going to have to spend about $5,000 in parts and labor. Bosch Classic is capable of rebuilding these injection pumps and doing a very good job, but some parts just don't exist, like the injection valves. You're just going to have to work with what you've got or find good used ones. Now, there are some specialists out there. Brooklyn Motor Works is the 300 Adenauer specialist in the United States. Type300.com is the Ziad Rahmani site, a very good resource for some parts. I've brought some great parts from Ziad. Brooklyn is, I think, one of the top tier specialists. They not only have parts, but they can do everything from a full restoration to a basic service on any of these cars. And having spent a week with them, I can say that they're every bit as good as they say they are. While the Mercedes Classic Center does a great job of supplying parts for these cars, you're going to pay very, very high prices, which is, it falls into the vein of one of these cars where if you have to ask, But all in, if you're going to buy a 300 Adenauer, you should plan on spending $75,000 to $100,000 total to have a turnkey running driving car, which gets you very close to $600, but it's not as well made or as prestigious. So, anyway, for more information about these great Mercedes, there's only one place on the web where the 300 Adenauer is going to be discussed with any sort of transparency, and it's right here at Pierre Hedary Shop. Keep watching. Please like and subscribe, and if there's more you'd like to know, drop us a line and your comment will get answered, probably in a few weeks, but it will get answered. Thank you.